It's time for Sustainable Living Made Easy with Glenn Ballblitz, the show that gives you helpful advice on how to live more independently. Now, here's your host, Janet Rose. Well, Glenn, it looks like it's you and I again. I don't know what you did to deserve me to work with you again, but I thoroughly enjoyed it last time. We talked about the trades. What's our topic for today?
Well, how it started out was picking mulberries, and you know, that's one of the first fruits of the year.
Okay.
That's actually that you can be growing.
Okay.
But there's several others. You know, the cherries and things are starting to ripen up, and even wild cherries are coming out. Now, when I say wild cherries, I don't mean the little tiny ones that you can't eat,
right.
But there are oxheart cherries and the European sour red cherries that make great pies and things. Mm-hmm. I'm always talking about food or something I can make wine out of.
You fit right in with me, brother. I'm going to tell you what. Rose the other day sent me an article that had a picture of burgers, waffle fries, and baked beans. I said, what are you doing? I mean, I'm starving as it is. So to talk about food, though, it's very important, obviously, for sustainable living. Let's talk about some of those things.
Well, the mulberry, it's been around since Roman times. Mm-hmm. Believe it or not, they would gather mulberry limbs, dry them, and feed them to cattle.
Oh, really?
And they've been doing this since Roman times.
Wow.
It's now picking back up because the price of feed, the price of hay, all that kind of stuff.
Sure.
And it's so nutritional dense, mm-hmm. way more than hay.
Really?
And people are figuring this out. And there's so many medicinal benefits, and we'll get into that.
Is it fairly easy to grow?
Oh, yeah. They're one of the easier trees, hard to kill.
Okay.
Produce fruit. You can use there's lots of benefits to it. And they've been around a long time, and everybody just kind of has ignored them because they don't have that huge, pungent citrus, juice running down your elbow kind of mystique to them.
Okay.
They're kind of a very mild fruit, but they're prolific.
Yeah.
I picked 52 pounds in 10 minutes.
Wow.
Now, I can't, even big peaches, you can't do that. Now, I didn't do this one at a time.
Right.
When the mulberry gets ripe, lay out a tarp, big bed sheet.
Right.
Take a stick and just tap the tree. And I do mean just tap.
Tap it.
And all the ripe ones fall off.
How about that?
Now, you can't get no easier than that.
No.
And we picked 52 pounds in less than 10 minutes.
Yeah.
That's me right there. No tree climbing, no nothing.
Right. Well, we're getting a little old for climbing trees. We shouldn't be.
Hey.
I'll speak for myself.
I'm there. I need to quit fighting it. I am there. But I'm still up in the tree, so what's that, man?
So once those puppies,
I guess.
Once those puppies land, just what...
Yeah, you just pull them out and you do pick outs on them. If you got some things that have a bug bite or two,
right?
You pick them out. You're going to do that with any kind of fruit or vegetable, so
sure.
It doesn't really matter. But they have when you make them, especially in pies or a cobbler, they have the consistency of the blueberry.
Okay,
just not quite as gluey as the blueberry.
Okay,
and not that syrupy. You don't have to add a lot to these. There's lots of sugars in them.
Okay.
And we'll get into some of the other benefits to it and the flavors and the proteins. And they're an amazing fruit.
Huh.
Everybody should have them. And as a kid, everybody did have them on the farm because they were so easy to grow.
Yeah.
And they provided a lot of good shade,
When just to talk about that growth spurt, what are we talking about from the time you would plant one to where you might be able to harvest anything?
Yeah, I've got one I think it's 7 years old now, and it's about 20 feet tall. So they'll put it out. Usually the first 3 years, you're not going to see a whole lot of fruit on it, but a little trimming to get a good shape to it, and next thing you know, there's fruit. But this year, everybody's got just horrendous loads of these mulberries.
How about that?
Perfect year for them.
Yeah.
Lots of water at the right time. So everybody I've been talking to says, we've got mulberries. Yeah. We all do.
Sure.
But it was a good mulberry year, so there you are.
Yeah.
Same with cherries. Cherries did fantastic this year. And that's the way fruit is. Some good, some bad years,
Sure.
The mulberries come in several different colors, white, red, and black.
Okay.
Now, when the tree first starts ripening, all of them are kind of white lookish, whitish green. Then they turn red, and the black ones, of course, go all the way to a black, deep purple.
Okay.
The white ones, they stay white. Now, white ones were preferred because they have a higher nutritional value in the leaves in Roman times.
Oh, okay.
But they've developed it now more for the fruit. So now the darker ones, the black ones, have more nutrition in the berries.
Okay.
And lots of medical benefits. We're going to go through some of them.
Okay.
So they're easy to grow, hard to kill. That's for us. Easy to pick. I just told you how to do it. You don't have to climb the darn tree. That's a good thing. But they're unusually high in iron and protein.
Okay.
That is so unusual for a fruit.
Yeah.
Most fruits just don't have that. Iron is being picked up out of the soil because Virginia has clay soils, which has a lot of iron in it. So you're getting the benefit of clay soils, which are not many benefits to clay soils other than this one. But the protein part is good.
Yeah.
Now, we have chickens, and the chickens have just been hanging around this tree as they started to drop. Then the deer moved in, and then the possums moved in. Right. Everybody loves these things. Now, when nature starts feasting on these things, that's because there's something in there they want, need, like. The ducks even eat them. And ducks don't care too much for fruit other than tomatoes, but they're right there at those things.
How about those pesky squirrels?
No, I don't have too many squirrels. I've got a Catahoula dog that,
takes care of that.
Takes care of that. I won't tell you how because it's kind of gross, but she does not allow squirrels in the yard. Okay. It also has vitamin C, high in fiber, dietary fibers. Plus, it has water-soluble fibers, which is really good for your gut system. Our American diet is so full of starches and bad stuff. You need to clean that out. And, people say, "Oh, diet, fiber, I don't want that. I'll eat Raisin Bran." Well, this is a way to get it, and nutrition too. Right. So it has lots of antioxidants, and that's part of the medical benefits. Sure. Everybody knows the antioxidants good for you, fights all kinds of good stuff. But it's not just has it, it's loaded. Okay. Now, people have never heard of mulberry being so nutritionally dense, so medically beneficial. Right. And most people don't even know what a mulberry looks like. Yeah. Much less how they taste. Yeah. So if you hear somebody that's got a mulberry tree, just check them out. Say, let me get some, and you'll change your mind on this fruit. They actually make a extract out of the leaves. Okay. To control the A1C for diabetes. Oh, nice. Now, diabetes has grown, and I've seen some statistics that says like by 30 to 40% since the 1960s. Yeah. So what's contributing to that? Well, it's a high sugar diet. Between the corn syrups and all the sugars they dump into everything we get, it's causing problems. Right. And it's hard to control. There's a lot of side effects to the diabetes, as everyone knows. Yeah, sure. If anybody out there, you know how hard that is to control. Sure. And if you can change your diet, and that scares everybody when you start saying change your diet. Right. What do you mean I got to give up bacon? Right, right. Yeah. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying add this to your diet. Yes. And I think that's why the older people live so much longer, because they didn't have that terrible diet, American diet. Yeah. But they ate a lot of this stuff that has this properties to them that they're just not getting anymore. Yeah. Yeah, since you said that, I looked up the leaf in particular. Mulberry leaf, you can get supplements, and you can pick them up, and it says supplement easy way to incorporate this substance into your life, used for centuries as traditional wellness practices. Absolutely. It benefits a lot of things all at one time.
Sure.
So it's an all around good thing.
And that's
to
just
have.
the leaf.
And you can get them in a powder form. You know, they dry the leaves, they powder them up, and they put them in a capsule. That's a supplement.
Sure.
Or you can make your own extract. I need to get that girl back in here. Remember Jennifer? She was the herbalist that came in.
Yeah.
It's been about a year or so. I think she needs to come back in. She is just a phenomenal amount of information on this stuff.
Even if we weren't worried about the oncoming apocalypse,
right.
which we think is coming in some fashion, even if it wasn't for that, this is just good natural stuff. But I think we're going to need this because we saw how all the pharmaceutical companies were disrupted during COVID. The supply chain.
That's my biggest fear for the immediate future. Is somebody will get mad at somebody and they go, well, we'll just not ship you this anymore.
Right.
But what if that's our pharmaceuticals?
Yeah. What if it's China?
90%,
China provides.
Good gosh. Are we that dumb?
Yeah, they provide
we were.
a high percentage of the ingredients that make the medications that we use every day.
We handed it to them, and they went, you idiots.
Yeah.
And here we are.
Yeah, exactly.
And they can turn that switch off just as easily as they could turn it on.
Sure.
And that's a cudgel over our heads at the moment.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, that's just the way the world is.
It is.
All right, the leaf and the berries actually will reduce the spikes after meals. Most time when people with diabetes, especially type 2, after meal they'll get that sugar spike, and that's hard to control. This stuff, the antioxidants and the minerals within it and the combination thereof will control that spike. It gives a slow release of the sugar rather than dumping it in your system and passing out and getting all loopy-headed. So if you can take something that's natural, it's good to eat, eat a piece of pie. If somebody told all my medicines taste like a piece of pie, I believe I'd take all my medicines.
Yeah, I got you.
But that's for type 2 diabetes, which is, pretty serious too.
Yeah, sure.
Mulberry leaf extract also promote heart health, inflammation, and it is let me get this right, resveratrol, and I've heard that several times, but that's a long one. In the berries, inhibit the growth of cancer cells. Oh.
Interesting.
I thought, they were pumping billions of dollars into research. Well, why don't you just eat the mulberries?
Right.
And further reduces other forms of cancer from forming. So apparently there is a mineral or a combination of mineral, like a combination lock, that stops that cell from deforming.
Yeah.
Well, it's strengthening something in there in
the
your
cell.
body.
Yeah.
And I think they know all this stuff. They just don't really want it out because they're making billions out of it. Okay, plant a mulberry tree and don't worry about what they say about that kind of stuff. Just eat your mulberries.
That's right.
Eat your pie.
Eat your pie.
The lowering of cholesterol.
Now you just got my attention. I mean, you've had my attention, but now you really got it because my numbers, my doctor says is twice as high, and they want to throw another drug at me. I'm already taking a statin, which I'm concerned about because the research is the data is being compiled. They think there is a connection between maybe early onset of Alzheimer's because you're taking a statin. I'm just throwing that out there that those studies are being done. So I would love to find a substitute for my statin.
Now,
or at least a supplement for it.
Sure. If this stuff is lowering cholesterol, and this is a huge market for the pharmaceuticals, our cholesterol, LDLs, all that kind of stuff, and this can help control that, it just makes sense.
Sure.
And our food, you just can't buy food anymore, any kind of fruit, vegetables, that is just absolutely not inundated with chemicals, pesticides, all that kind of stuff. And you're going, I need to do something different. Well, you better get in gear. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because it's getting worse. It's not getting better.
Right.
And like you say, the longer we talk about this, the more things we find out about it, how bad our food supply is.
Yeah.
Well, I figured that out a long time ago, and I'm trying to, wave my flag and say, hey, you pay attention. We did a show on a Dirty Dozen, and almost all fruits are on this Dirty Dozen.
Mm-hmm.
So having the ability to walk out your backyard and harvest 52 pounds of some fruit in a 10-minute period, that's hard to argue with.
Yeah.
It's not like you had to spend 25 hours doing all this work. Tap a tree limb and there's your supplements and all that kind of stuff. Now, you can make juice out of it. You make pies out of it, as I already said. Make a little wine out of it if you want.
Right.
You can also dehydrate it, powder it.
Okay.
And put it in a smoothie. Add it to anything.
Right.
It doesn't have some overbearing taste that would screw up, your dessert or whatever. Just add it to it. Mm-hmm. No different than you opening a pill bottle and popping the pill.
Right.
Okay, add it to your juice. Or just drink the juice straight from the berries. We juiced up a couple quarts just to try out, and it was fantastic. Mm-hmm. Much better flavor than just eating the berry, I guess, because you're getting so much of it at one time.
Sure.
All these things are adding up to, I need to look into the mulberry, the lowly mulberry,
Right.
And as a kid, all the farms had them. Looking back, when I started reading about this, I remember just all the farms had them along the fences and stuff, and, the cows ate it. Everything ate it.
Right.
Why aren't we?
Sure.
So that's why I even bought my mulberries.
Huh.
And just figured that's an easy fruit. I don't have to do a whole lot of pruning to it.
Right.
It grows really prolific. Now I'm reaping the benefits of that.
How much sun do they need? Does it?
They like full sun.
Okay.
So I guess that's why they planted them along the fence rows and stuff.
Okay.
And it gave shade for the cattle and that kind of stuff.
Right.
But it doesn't drop a lot of limbs. Some, like walnut trees, terrible. They drop limbs, but walnut trees also kill everything underneath it.
Right.
So that was the reason they planted those along the fence line. It also improves your liver function. Now, here's a big one when I talk about our food system being so contaminated. Mm-hmm. Your liver is supposed to filter out all that stuff.
Right.
These glyphosates from Roundups and that kind of thing,
yes.
That's hard for your body to break down. And if your liver can't keep up, it will start to fail. And that's a big problem now. Liver failure that's another one that's increased like diabetes has. What's going on?
I think it's because we're pumping.
Well, it's crap in, crap out.
Yeah,
that's all there
exactly.
is to it.
And the medications, since my heart surgery, I took probably up to that point at age 53, and this is the truth, I bet you I took 2 decent-sized pill bottles of medication my whole life. Okay? That's not a lot over a 53-year period. I rarely got a headache, so I would, take a Tylenol or whatever. Now I have to have a Tylenol PM to help me sleep. I have to take my statin, 2 heart meds, and then a baby aspirin. My liver's got to process all that stuff.
Right.
And I just can't help but believe that it takes a toll. Thankfully, I didn't start any of that mess until my 50s, but still our organs are, they're like any other part of our body. They can wear out as they get older.
Well, our diet tends to be very fatty and very sugary.
Right.
And some of that fat collects on the organ meats.
Right.
When you're butchering cattle, you'll see that too. If you
Sure.
fed some high corn diet, there's fat all over the cattle. So it works the same way for us.
Sure.
So if you have a fatty liver, it can't function as well. It just can't move the stuff that's supposed to move out.
Right.
Or your body, all the toxins.
Well, I tell you what, before we go any further, let's take a little break here, and then we'll come back and continue on where we're going, and then we'll have some conclusions. I'm with Glenn Ballblitz. You're listening to Sustainable Living. We're so grateful for Glenn and his mission to help us find those alternatives, because times could get tough. And if you're following the news, it's going to be here sooner, I think, than we think.
Doc Rock Smith Mountain Lake loves having you as a friend. With that in mind, keep our number handy, 434-248-0704. If you have an event or story in the lake region you think we should share, text it to us. See an accident or a slowdown listeners need to know about? Send that to us too. We are here for you. 434-248-0704. That's the number for Doc Rock Smith Mountain Lake, your feel-good station.
Joining Glenn again. Glenn, let's pick up where we left off. You took a deep breath ready to hit another thing, so I wanted you to finish that off.
We were talking about the liver.
Liver, yeah, and the fatty.
And as bad as our food system is, this has become much more important. You're going to need to start taking care of yourself because they're not taking care of you. This is a profitable business from the top down on the food, from the top down on the pharmaceuticals. You need to take control of what you're eating, because what we're getting and what we're told to eat is A, super expensive, B, not fit to eat.
Right.
They just did a study on Cheerios, the most polluted cereal out there. Plain old Cheerios, it is full of this glyphosates. Now, that's an issue. I mean, how many kids are out there? And look how vulnerable a young child is to these kind of toxins.
And then you add the sugary part of the Cheerios, and then you're really talking about a mess.
Yeah,
you know?
So we just need to change our diet, folks. You need to get back to your garden. If you don't have a garden, find someone that does have a garden and help them out, so you get the benefit of what I'm talking about, because you're not getting the benefits through commercially grown foods. They're grown for profit. They are not grown for nutrition. In fact, nutrition is detrimental to them, because that means complex sugars. Complex sugars cause things to rot faster. They don't want things to rot. They want things to store.
Right.
They store for 6-8 months. Now, have you ever tried to store something that you've grown in a garden for 6-8 months? No, you got to eat it in about 3-4 days.
Yeah.
And it's because of all those complex sugars in there, which are your vitamins. If you can't taste it, there's no vitamin there. That's all there is to it. And we need to get back to that, because that's how your body is supposed to function.
Well,
good stuff in.
Yeah, because I've been told that, like these sweeteners and stuff, our body doesn't know how to process it. It doesn't recognize it, and that's
well, GMOs,
that's crazy to think about.
The GMO stuff, all these allergies that have come out, there is no such thing as a non-GMO peanut anymore. They've all been genetically modified because they makes them grow better. They're more profitable.
Right.
So all these peanut allergies started showing up. It's because the body doesn't recognize it as food. It recognizes a foreign body. It recognizes that as a pollen or as something it's not seen, and says, nope, that's no good.
Yeah.
I mean, we're perfectly designed.
Yeah.
We just screw it up.
Right,
but
exactly.
Regardless of that, getting back to just eating healthy out of your garden and not buying and purchasing GMO foods, you will see a difference. Just like eating these mulberries.
Right.
You should see an immediate difference, because there's such a flood of nutrients in them. So, I mean, I've been eating them now for a week, and actually my energy level's gone up. And
Has
I'm going,
it? Okay.
Really? Is that what's happening? And I'm telling you, yes, because I've been pretty wide open for now for 2-3 months, but it helped.
Yeah.
And I couldn't believe that.
Well, let me ask you this, because I'm seeing these articles, did a little looking while you were talking, and it says that this stuff isn't readily available at stores to be able to buy mulberries fresh. You can't buy them.
By the time they are ripe, because they have so much stuff in them, they do degrade fairly quickly. They fall right off the tree.
Sure.
So you have to find these mulberry trees and start asking around. Somebody's going to have them. And as soon as my wife gets tired of canning these things, we'll have them for you. About every 4 days, you could go out and tap that tree. They're that loaded. I've never seen trees this loaded in my whole life. I mean, I've been around a lot of this stuff, and it's not just mine. It's not because I did something special. Everybody's just a perfect year for them. So here's your sign. God coming in at the right time, saying, "Here, I'm gonna give you some abundance to share. Here we go."
Now, are these things too? I mean, just how readily available are they on people's farms and that kind of thing?
You would be shocked at how many mulberry trees are around.
Okay.
Because you really don't notice them. They're kind of unassuming tree. And then all of a sudden the berries are there.
Right.
And you won't really notice them until they ripen up.
Right.
And
I was looking at some pictures.
Yeah.
How describe how big, because it looks like they're fairly large.
The fruit itself?
Yeah.
It's about as big as your thumb.
Okay.
Now, that's a big berry.
Okay.
It would be most wild trees that you're going to find on farm never been taken care of. They may come out, and they're kind of long.
Right.
About an inch and a half long, and about as big as your pinky.
Okay.
But this year, for some reason, I'm getting these little giant ones that are as big as my thumb. Good friend of mine from over on the other side of Bedford County, he gave me a snapshot because he couldn't believe it because his did the same thing.
Okay.
One of the ladies in our canning group, she put it out. Hey, I've got mulberries just out the wazoo here. Come get them, and people did. And I think it was just a good year for them.
And it's a cluster of small berries in one. Is that am I looking at this right?
Yeah, they kind of like cherry clusters, but the stem's very short, so they're very close to the branch, and,
yes,
and that's why
see that in the picture,
a little tap on them,
they'll
and
just
they come right
off.
off.
Okay.
Yeah. So, what do you do with 52 pounds of mulberries? Well, there's pies, there's jams, there's juice, and the leaf extract, as we already told about. You can, again, to reiterate, you can actually feed these smaller limbs. If you're going to prune your trees, save them, hang them in a barn, and the goats, the sheep, everything eats them, the cattle, everything. But it not only as a treat to them, but as a vitamin supplement to your cattle, you know. People put out mineral blocks all the time, but it's not the same.
Right.
It's not the same as straight out of Mother Earth, you know.
What about freezing them and making jam out of them? What about that?
The texture doesn't stay as good, but yes, if you're going to use them for pies later or juice later, or you're going to make smoothies, some people have freeze dryers. They do very well in freeze dryers. Just a dehydrator, they do very well in that. My wife's got a whole batch of them things going. It's got my whole shop smelling like mulberries, which is not a bad thing.
Right.
So everything eats the berries. Everything will eat the leaves, and you should be eating them too.
Okay.
So that's kind of where I'm at. That's a lot about mulberries, wasn't it?
No, that's good though.
And that we have only touched the beginning of the medical side of it. I encourage you to dive into these things and find out how good these things really are.
Yeah.
And maybe tell your doctor about it. He probably doesn't know, but of all the things that they're showing, and these are all medical studies that have been done, so it's not like that they don't know. It's just the word is not getting out because it's not in pill form, I guess. But
when I talk to doctors, now I've gotten some nurse practitioners that were pretty open. When I would tell them about this, that, and the other, that I'm doing 2 caps of apple cider vinegar with mother in it. There's great benefits from that.
Absolutely.
And that helped stabilize my gut after 2 years of trying to figure out what was wrong with me. I had invasive heart surgery. I was fine for about a couple of years, and then it all broke loose. And I struggled for a couple of years. We thought it was an ulcer. Thought it was a number of things. Had all kinds of tests. Had a friend tell me, I'm just telling you, try this. I'm not saying it's going to work, but just try it. And guess what I've been doing for the last, the last 8 years is I have 2 capfuls of apple cider vinegar now I can do it with 4 ounces of water. I used to dilute it with 8 because it's a little strong.
Right.
Now I do it with 4 ounces and I'm fine. And I got to tell you, if I miss it for 3 or 4 days, I can tell the difference. It stabilized me. I don't get nauseous. Now I still get nauseous. That's usually because, every med that I'm on, the first top 3 can cause nauseousness, but it's usually when I'm overdoing it. I'm pushing myself too hard. But I got to tell you, man, that apple cider vinegar with mother makes a difference.
Well, that goes back to fermentation. There's a lot of things in the 1800s. We fermented a lot of foods back then. We took that from the Asian market, And a lot of the Asian market, they ferment about everything.
Right.
But it creates different compounds when you ferment things. And it makes certain vitamins available to you. But just because it's there, and your body has to be able to use it. And most of the time, it has to be combined with a complex sugar, which is a ripe piece of fruit, vegetable. If that complex sugar is not there, your body more than likely can't use it. It's going to be tied up.
Right.
We are wonderfully made.
Yeah.
But complicated.
Yeah.
But simple to operate.
Yeah.
All you got to do is do what he says.
Right. Well, and the point
from the land, just do what he says.
And the point I was making about the nurse practitioners are more open to that stuff than the doctors.
They have more time to read, I think.
Right.
They're not so indoctrinated into a certain category.
And I think the pharmaceutical companies have great influence. I have friends that have gone to these expensive dinners down at the Virginian. I mean, it's $100 a head, and the pharmaceutical companies display all their latest and greatest and wooing the medical field to use our product. I just think it's a lot more to it.
If you get a prescription and you get the bill and it says $580 a month for this prescription, you're going, something is definitely wrong here.
Yeah.
I've got some friends that have had medical issues with their husband, and they put it on some medication, and it was $580 some a month, and one of three.
Yeah.
You know, who makes that kind of money?
No, nobody does.
So, well,
that's your government.
We could go on a rabbit hole on that one, but
we don't want to. But
there's alternatives to this stuff.
There is.
It really is.
And just research it.
Research it.
Yeah.
You're going to have to do some of your own homework. I mean, I try to bring something in here that gets you going in the right direction and then turn you loose. But, you know, if you're not going to educate yourself just like I have and others have, you're just going to have to fork out a bunch of money for things that do not work. I'll tell you another one is coming to the forefront, and that is mushrooms, myceliums, and bacteriums.
Right.
That they are finding the medical uses, because mushrooms will produce these compounds that they cannot reproduce, so they can't patent it. Lion's mane is one of them. Lion's mane will rebuild neurological synapses in the brain. Well, that's pretty big for someone that's had a stroke.
Right.
But do you think that the medical community is going to look into that? No, there's no money to be made. But yet that lion's mane you can actually buy, purchase, grow. Why aren't we doing this? Now, I don't recommend anybody playing with mushrooms if they don't know what the mushroom is. No. Because there's just as many bad mushrooms as there are good mushrooms, so you have to know what you're doing. That's another education thing. And there are people around here that are definitely into this and can show you how and what the benefits are.
Okay.
They're using mushrooms for PTSD.
Oh, wow.
It's amazing how much information is coming out. Like, you know, whistleblowers from the bottom up.
Right.
You know, they're going, you know, and these are doctors saying, I'm not allowed to tell anybody this, but I've been using this on this patient because nothing else worked.
Right.
And all of a sudden, it's, you know, a switch is turned off. They no longer have the symptoms of the PTSD, and they're going, what just happened? Okay, well, let's look. What's different? And it was a certain type of mushroom.
Yeah.
And everybody hears mushrooms, and they think about, you know, take a trip, never leave the farm, those kind of psychedelic mushrooms. But that's not the case. There's thousands of mushrooms, just like there are all the plants and whatnot.
You just quoted the lyric of a song. Did you know that?
No.
Jim Stafford, the wild weed,
Wow.
took a trip and never left the farm.
Well, we won't go there. That must have come up out of the past, and I've been repressing for a long time. Okay, that should, and the mulberry is just one of the fruits out there that you could have that typically aren't grown. Cherries, a lot of people don't grow the cherries anymore, even if it's the big, dark purple oxheart cherries. Now, there is a wild variety of that. And a lot of farms had that because farms grew a lot of fruit, and then the birds would carry the seed off Now the seed has been planted in the wild and it reverts back to the European varieties or whatever it is. And there's actually trees in the woods that are oxheart cherries. Now they're still big black cherries. Mm-hmm. They're just not quite as big. They're the size of a dime instead of the size of a quarter. I mean, we've all seen them giant cherries in the store, but those are sprayed and blah, blah, blah to make them that big and that pretty and all that. But a friend of mine just discovered black oxheart cherry.
Okay.
Then he got to looking around and found out that there was a sour red cherry, 100 yards away. And they're 50 feet tall.
Oh, my.
And they're full of them.
Wow.
And they're not more than 40 yards from his house. Now, apparently somebody had fruit trees in the area, and they got planted there through natural means, squirrels, birds, however, and now he's got them. I've kind of talked him into start growing some fruit, and he's been really trying really hard. He's planted a lot of trees and looks over, and now he's got a 40-foot one. It's already there to start with. So
nice.
There you go. There's your blessing right there. Strawberries. I love strawberries. I've been eating strawberries for a month now, and I've got several varieties. Not like I got a huge field of them. I just have several varieties in little patches, and it's maybe 6 feet wide, 40 feet long, and we've been developing, and this year they did really well.
Okay.
And when I say really well, I've got strawberries that are 2 inches long and about an inch and a half
Holy
around,
cow.
and you're going, oh my God, that's the size of, a hot pepper or whatever.
Sure.
But I don't buy them from the store. They are one of the dirty dozen.
Right, that they've manipulated.
Yeah, I'm telling you, people quit buying them things. There is so much on that strawberry sprayed to keep it from getting all these diseases. It's a very soft fruit.
Right.
So it's susceptible to a lot of stuff.
Sure.
And commercially, you can't have that. So they gas them with bromine. Bromine is an extremely poisonous substance, and yet they gas the whole field with them.
Yeah, and that's a very, in my mind, a very porous, soft. It will absorb easily.
If you look, the little seeds are inside the dimples.
Yeah.
So anything that you spray goes immediately into the dimple of it and is into the fruit. And I don't give a darn if they rinse them off or whatever. It's in the fruit. It's too late. It's inside the fruit. Just same way with your potatoes. Potatoes is a very dangerous thing to work in commercial. When they spray the potato plants commercially, it is so dangerous that the farmer doesn't go out into the field for 4 days.
Wow. Holy cow.
Now, who's the guy spraying?
Yeah.
He's
wearing a hazmat suit.
Yeah. Well, actually, they do.
I believe it.
Yeah. So growing your own it is far better.
Yeah.
And they're easy to grow.
Sure.
A little tender care, and you'll have bukus, and they multiply every year.
Okay.
Every mother strawberry plant will, at this time of year, starting to put out these little strings with a strawberry at the end.
Okay.
All you got to do is poke it in the ground. Right. Now you got 4 strawberry plants.
Sure. Well, holy cow. We've covered a lot of ground. I know we need to wrap up here. As far as strawberries, and we did mulberries, the medicinal purposes are really good. Stay away from the strawberries from the stores. I didn't even think about those little guys they're like the pores on your arm.
Absolutely.
And you rub something like Bengay, it gets to the muscle through the pores. Same kind of thing with a strawberry.
And that's why we need our liver to function properly, because all the stuff we're eating is in the body.
Yeah.
So we need to get it back out.
No wonder cancer is so prevalent, it seems, in my mind.
I'm just saying, we're dumping too much poison into our bodies.
Absolutely.
That was a interesting show there. I didn't know we were going off into the medical field talking about mulberries, but there we are.
There we are. Well, Glenn, thank you so much for this service that you provide through Sustainable Living, or Living, I should say. If somebody wanted to reach out to you for a topic they want you to cover, what would the next step be?
Our Facebook page is out there, and that's a good way to get into contact with us, and just, shoot me a question, shoot me a comment. I do respond to them. Maybe not as fast as I should, but life is busy these days.
Sustainable living on
Mulberry
Facebook.
Season.
Now, yeah, right. If is there more than one sustainable living out there? Do they need to preference it by saying Virginia?
If you stretch it all the way out to sustainable living with Glenn Boblets, it'll bring you directly to it. There is some people that have sustainable in their name, so you'll just have to scroll through and find it. It's out there.
Spell that last name for me, because it's not a typical name that you see every day.
It's not B-O-B. It's B-A-U-B-L-I-T-Z. Ball Blitz, Light Maker.
Glenn Boblets, thank you again, sir. Always good to see you. You've been listening to Sustainable Living Made Easy with Glenn Boblets, the show that gives you helpful advice on how to live more independently. If you have a question for Glenn, you can text it 434-248-0704, or you can join our group on Facebook by searching for Sustainable Living Made Easy.